Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Aisha and I share a lot of things to do living in Arizona, specifically on TikTok and Instagram, but also just sharing my life. And today we're spilling the tea on living in downtown Phoenix because I am currently apartment hunting and I don't know if I'm gonna stay downtown. I currently live downtown and I'm gonna tell you guys my opinion on some of the pros and the cons living in downtown Phoenix, especially if you are going to be moving to Arizona, or if maybe you live somewhere else in Arizona or somewhere else in the valley, which describes the Phoenix metro area, and you're curious what it's like from someone who's currently living down there. So let's get into it. So let's rewind. I moved to downtown Phoenix after living kind of in the Biltmore Arcadia area for nearly 4 years. I've been living downtown for 2. I moved here because I wanted a different change of pace, a different vibe, and I wanted to be close to restaurants, rooftop bars, the Suns game, all the kind of fun things that are happening down here. And I was like, you know what? Why not? Let's do it. So I decided to move into a high-rise. Okay, so my apartment, I told you guys I live in a high rise and I love it. I mean, it's very luxurious. They have great amenities, beautiful views. The first unit I lived in when I moved in was gorgeous, but I'm gonna tell you, for downtown Phoenix, it's a little pricey. I think if you wanna live in a very modern, new high-rise, you're looking at starting around 3,500 to like 4K plus. That's if you wanna live in a nice building with great amenities and all the bells and whistles. So that's where you're gonna be starting. Let's talk about the downtown vibe, or kind of lack thereof to a certain extent. Here are my thoughts. I mean, on the weekends, it can be pretty poppin', especially if you're near Roosevelt. There's tons of bars. Sometimes there's events. Downtown Phoenix has their own like farmers market on Saturdays, which is great and something that I love walking to from time to time. There's always different events, like if there's certain like concerts and stuff. For example, when the Final Four was here last year at Hance Park, which is just right next to downtown Phoenix, you can walk to those events, and Hance Park typically does a lot of different events. Yeah, I think overall there's some things to do, but on a Tuesday, Wednesday, it's crickets, you know. It's definitely, I would say downtown Phoenix is a soft launch city. It wants to be that girl. She wants to be that girl, but she's quite not there yet. And that is kind of my bone to pick with downtown Phoenix. So let's get into my pros about living in downtown Phoenix. So for one, walkability. I love that there's so many coffee shops in the area. You can walk to a lot of the bars and restaurants in the area. And then also, I feel like the biggest perk is being so close to where the Phoenix Suns play, and also Chase Field, where the Arizona Diamondbacks play. Like, the stress of trying to park down here, or even pay to park, you know, sometimes they're charging like upwards towards like $60 to park in the parking garages right next to the stadium. And just having that ease of just walking there, it's just so nice. I love that. I love that I live down here and I don't have to worry about parking or paying for parking every time. You know, if I had to drive down here, comparable to when I lived in the Biltmore area. Granted, without traffic, it's like a 10 to 15 minute drive, but you know, still having to find parking, paying for parking can be a headache, especially when there's events, concerts, or, you know, it's a weekend. Let's talk about diversity. And I know this can be a little controversial because in general, if you're coming to Phoenix expecting Phoenix to be similar to a Chicago, an LA, or New York, it's just not going to be that vibe. I will preface that, but I will say this: living in downtown Phoenix, is going to be way more diverse than any other part of the valley. So if you're looking for that and that's something that you value, is to be in an area where it's more of a melting pot of different people, you can find people that look like you, I would recommend living in downtown Phoenix. It's more diverse, you know, comparable to Scottsdale, Gilbert, East Valley, even West Valley. Like if you're moving to the suburbs, expect there not to be as much diversity. But if you're coming into the city and you're living in downtown or even like parts of central Phoenix, you'll see more people that look like you. It's definitely not an LA or an NYC or any other, you know, or any other major city. But I will say there is more culture in this area versus other areas. Another pro about living in downtown Phoenix is, especially if you are new to Arizona and you want to meet people and make friends, I feel like there's just so many transplants, especially downtown. And I feel like it's a great way to meet people. Even in my building, everybody is just trying to meet people. Everybody's friendly. Everybody's just trying to get to know people. So I feel like it's a really easy, laid back vibe comparable to maybe Scottsdale. And I feel like you'll have an easier time meeting people, making friends, going to events, because there are events that are very walkable or close by, even if you had to drive. So I feel like it's the perfect area if you are new to Arizona, especially if you're a young professional. You know, it's just a very young vibe. You know, I think it's really diverse in age as well. So you'll find college kids down here because they do have an ASU downtown campus. So you will see, you know, a good amount of college kids, but there's also just so many other people in their 20s, 30s, and even like early 40s. And I feel like it's a good mix. And I think it's pretty easy to kind of find your tribe a little bit. So another reason why I love living in downtown Phoenix is you're basically central. You know, you're not too far. You're not too far from Scottsdale. You're not too far from all the things in the West Valley. So if you love the Arizona Cardinals or you love going to like NFL football games, you're pretty centrally located to go to State Farm Stadium. And it's kind of like you're in the middle. You're smack dab in the middle. So commuting overall is, in my opinion, way better versus living on the outskirts or in the suburbs like Gilbert, Chandler, or West Valley, where you're finding like Surprise, Goodyear, all of that. Like that's really far. So it is really nice to be super central, especially if you are commuting. So overall, I think if you're new to Arizona, you want to be in close proximity to concerts, events, sporting events, and you want to meet people and be in an area that is more diverse than what you're going to find elsewhere in the valley, I think downtown Phoenix is perfect, and I do recommend it to people who are new and who are moving here. So let's get into the cons and why I'm considering leaving downtown Phoenix after living here for almost 2 years. This is one of my biggest things about downtown Phoenix that I kind of hate. Just the proximity to shopping and grocery stores. If you live near Chase Field in the Phoenix Arena where the Suns play, there's one Fry's grocery store. If you're on the opposite end, like Roosevelt Row, there is no grocery stores that are walkable and within walking distance. You need to drive, and the nearest Whole Foods and Trader Joe's is a good ways away, which I feel like downtown Phoenix is lacking and missing the mark on that. Obviously, like, I know there's a lot of logistical stuff that goes into like bringing a big grocery chain downtown, but I just feel like overall there to not be more options for grocery stores that are walkable they're missing the mark on, especially for the premium pricing that they are charging for a lot of these high rises. And when I tell you, like, there's about 6 or 7 new high rises that are being currently built right now, and they're premium pricing. And for us not to have nice grocery stores and, you know, a good shopping experience, I just feel like it's really lacking. And I'm going to say it's the same thing for just shopping in general. Like, your nearest mall is going to be Scottsdale Fashion Square, or the Biltmore area has like a small outdoor mall, which is, you know, about 15 minutes away. And then you maybe have Westgate, which would be probably the next closest thing. That isn't super, super far. And again, you know, there's not shopping. And, you know, the malls are one thing, but also not to have a Target that's close by and a Walmart, just things where you want to buy necessities. Lacking, and kind of that's a con for me. You know, you really do still need a car living in downtown Phoenix. I'm going to be quite honest. Unless you're a college student living at ASU and you have like campus food there. I don't know what the situation is at the ASU downtown campus, but I kind of feel like if you are out of college, you need a car to do basic necessity shopping if you live in downtown Phoenix, unless you want to just Instacart and do Amazon grocery, which I do sometimes, because when I get lazy. I'm not gonna lie, I get a little lazy, and I'll like want to, you know, just have them deliver my groceries a lot of the times. But, you know, to actually go somewhere, you're going to need a car. I would say another lacking thing that I wish we saw more of, was, you know, fitness studios, Pilates studios, all of that is really going to be outside of the downtown area. It's going to be in Midtown. It's going to be in Arcadia. It's going to be in the Biltmore. There's not a lot of fitness studios, minus like, I think there's like an EOS on the opposite end of where like Roosevelt is. There's an EOS fitness gym, and that's kind of about it. There may be I think there may be a couple of studios. Like I think there's maybe like one yoga studio I know of. I think another one closed down. But, you know, I just think there's a lack of, you know, just fitness studios. I think there's a lack of nice fine dining. A lot of that you're going to have to go to Scottsdale or kind of step out of the downtown bubble. There's a few restaurants I love that are super nice, but other than that, I just think there's like a lack of restaurants. And just kind of there's just a lot of things, you know, downtown Phoenix, it wants to be that girl, but she's not there yet. She's developing. And for the pricing and for what I'm looking for, that's kind of one of the reasons why I'm like, well, it's just not there yet. And I don't want to pay the price to live in an area that's still kind of developing, because it's hella expensive. Okay, considering this is Phoenix and it's not LA, Chicago, or New York, pricing for someone coming on the outside probably isn't too bad. But I will say this, in my opinion, I think downtown Phoenix is getting a little too expensive for what you're getting, right? Like, I'm just gonna say that. I think that, you know, if you want to live in a nice new building, you are going to be paying premium prices, but that's just generally anywhere, right? Like, you're going to be paying a lot if you want nice things. But I will say this, a lot of the newer high rises that are kind of popping up, you're kind of, if you want a 2-bed, 2-bath, you're kind of going to be paying quite a bit. Like, you know, again, between like a starting range of like $3,000 upwards to $5,000-$6,000 for like a 2-bed, 2-bath. Considering downtown Phoenix is still developing, in my opinion, I think it's a little high. And yeah, I just think a lot of the newer buildings are just a little too expensive, especially for what is going on. I want to say in 3 to 5 years, I can definitely see it being way more urban, way more walkable, way more things to do, because I have been hearing on the inside some of the awesome plans and restaurants that are coming to the area. But again, that's, you know, it's not gonna be right this second. So it's gonna take some time, but I think if you're planning to move to Phoenix in the next couple years, I mean, I think it will be way more booming and way more poppin'. It's just very inconsistent, you know, which is cool if you're wanting a more laid back vibe. But if you're expecting to come here and get the same city vibes as you would probably in a bigger metro area, you're just not going to get that here. As for me, I love the downtown area. I think it's such a fun spot. I don't know, I just kind of want a little bit of a change, and I also am at a point where I want a bigger space, and I kind of want to save money, and I don't want to pay the pricing for like a 2-bed, 2-bath out here in a nice building. I mean, that's just kind of where I'm at personally. And if I have to step outside the downtown area to find that, I'm fine with that, because I think for me, being someone who's lived in Phoenix for almost 6 years, I feel like, you know, I've established my friend group. I'm used to commuting and driving around. I mean, that's nothing new. And I kind of feel like I've done all the things I could really do out here. I don't know. I just kind of feel like I like it, but you know, I'm ready for a little bit of a change. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope it helped you guys kind of get a better idea of what it's like living in downtown Phoenix from someone who actually currently lives out here. And if you are interested in learning more about Arizona, or what fun things there are to do out here, or where to eat, I post a lot of that on Instagram and TikTok at Aisha Beasley on those platforms. And I kind of take you around my life living in Arizona and all the restaurants and food I try all the freaking time. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know down below if you are team downtown, or if you like another part of the valley if you live out here. Let me know in the comments, and stay tuned for my next video. Bye guys.